Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Sean's Horror Corner. As always, thank you so much for watching. We were having some technical difficulties there for a few minutes, and to answer your question, Isaiah, yes, I think it might live in LA. StreamYard was not wanting to cooperate with me a minute. It kept telling me there was too much traffic and to try again, and then all of a sudden it just started. So it works. We'll make it happen. But that being said, Isaiah, my friend, welcome back.
Yes. Thank you, Sean. It's so good to be back in our fourth. Is this our fourth or third or fifth?
This is the fifth. This is the
Oh my
fifth movie
God.
in this franchise. So yeah. So for Isaiah and I are talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. We've gone through the original. We've gone through 2, 3, and then that next generation nonsense that we just talked about not too long ago. But now we're getting to the remake from 2003, and I definitely can't wait to hear what Isaiah has to say about it. But before we get into everything, Isaiah, go ahead and take a minute, talk about the Bitter Wolf, talk about the other things that you've got going on, and let us know what to look forward to.
Yes. So I run the Bitter Wolf, which is a YouTube channel and website devoted to promoting independent horror, and I do that through a couple of different projects, primarily on YouTube. I run the Horror Mosaic, which profiles people in the horror community, and I do Cave Chats, which is hosted by my character, the Bitter Wolf, who's this puppet right here. And he has guests onto his show to just talk about horror stuff and whatever else comes up. And then I also have my website, realbitterwolf.com, where I publish horror fiction and nonfiction, which is movie commentary and lots of other stuff about independent filmmakers. So I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Blue Sky, and I am sometimes a guest on Sean's Horror Corner too. So thanks for having me back.
No, absolutely, man. It's always a blast when I have you on here. I don't remember you came on. It's been over a year now. I don't even remember what the first thing that you came on for was, because we kind of got acquainted through Our Life in Horror. I think is where it started. You know, we got acquainted through them, and you did an interview for me with me on your Horror Mosaic, which everybody definitely needs to go check out, and check out the Bitter Wolf stuff as well. The Wolf interviews are so funny. Cave Chats crack me up every single time. But yeah, I had you come on, and I don't remember what it was, but I just felt like instantly we just seemed to flow off each other really well. It was always a lot of fun talking with you, and so Isaiah and I, we started going through this Texas Chainsaw franchise. He guested with me on a live here a while back as well, and we've already got plans to go through the Pooniverse once we finish this all up. So yeah, a lot of fun stuff planned. A lot of fun stuff planned with Isaiah.
Wait, it just came to me the very first episode. I think it was Pope's Exorcist.
Oh, I think that's right. Yes, the Pope's Exorcist. Yeah, you are exactly right, because we did that, and then you came back and went through the Black Christmas franchise with me.
We did all of the Black Christmas movies. Oh my God, we've done a lot more than I even remembered. Jesus.
Yeah, and then we've jumped into this, and you were a guest. Here we're back. You and Mike from Mike and Serial were on. We all did a live together, so that was a lot of fun.
For Terrifier.
Yeah, for the whole Terrifier franchise. So yeah, just Isaiah's always welcome. It's a great time talking with him. We always have a lot of fun, and sometimes even if we don't like the movie, it seems like we're able to find things to talk about and laugh at and that kind of thing. So it's a good time even when that doesn't happen. So yeah, fantastic stuff. All right, we will talk about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003, the remake. And let me start by saying this, and then I'm going to kind of ask you your spoiler-free thoughts. This came out in a time frame where we were getting a lot of remakes, right? I mean, we got House of Wax, I think, in like 2005. There was a Friday the 13th in 2009, and Nightmare on Elm Street in 2010. A lot of these classic Prom Night came out somewhere around this time. A lot of remakes were going on during this time. My opinion is that this is one of the better ones from a lot of those remakes. But one of the hardest things for me as far as watching this movie, because I do like this. I'll go ahead and say that I do like this movie, but it's still just so different than that original. It just doesn't have that same feeling. I appreciate the fact that this one gets back to horror, very much so. It takes out the silly slapstick comedy stuff, but the feeling's still just not the same. What are your spoiler-free thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think that you actually summed it up pretty nicely for me too, because I don't know. I think my memory of watching this movie was better than revisiting it. Like
Okay.
maybe I think as it came out in 2003, so I was a teenager when it came out, and I didn't see it too long after that. Like probably whenever I was like 16 or 17 or something. And
Right.
I remember just feeling, oh, crazy. I saw it before I saw the original one. Okay, so
Okay.
I remember it just being like having a huge impact. This is so disturbing.
Right.
And stuff like that. But now that I've got more horror background, more horror knowledge, more understanding of movies, and you know, we've been talking about this franchise in our first conversation about the movie, and also talking to lots of people about the original movie since then, and
Sure.
realizing what a masterpiece it is for so
Right.
many different reasons. It's really hard to have the same oomph that it
Sure.
did when I was a teenager watching this. So I agree with you. I like it still, but I think I just like it.
Yeah. No, I get that. That's perfectly fine. And it is. It's so funny because I had seen the original of Texas Chainsaw before I saw this, but there were some of those, that I had. Like, for example, we talked about Black Christmas. I had not seen the original Black Christmas when I saw the one in 2006, and then went back and watched it from there. And it's funny how the more I do this YouTube channel, the longer I've been a horror fan, I just continue to find myself going back even more and liking some of those classics and those originals better. Just that feeling that you had watching the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, almost like you needed to take a shower when it was over. I
Yeah.
mean, it was just so gross and dirty and grim, but yet so fantastic at the same time. I think this
Yes.
one tries to do that, um,
Yes.
but it just doesn't quite make it. It's a little too polished, and that's one of the
Mm.
issues that some of these remakes have, in my opinion. Although Jessica Biel is fantastic.
Yeah. Sure. I agree with that too, and I think there's like as we're having this conversation, I'm starting to like ask myself, why do I think it didn't hit the mark as strongly? And maybe because it definitely is trying to be grimy and gritty, like you're talking
Right.
about, and it does achieve that in some scenes, I think.
Sure.
And but then there is a feeling of like you can see them trying to do it instead of it being that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like the original cast, you just feel like they just feel like they are those people,
Right.
and we'll talk about this cast later, but
Sure.
yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of what happens with some of these older films. Is I feel like when you look at the cast from the original for this, or even Black Christmas, to bring it up again,
Yeah.
they felt like real people.
Yeah.
And this, not that performances are bad in any way, shape, or form, but this doesn't feel like real people. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel like
That's
this is
right.
really happening, whereas the other one it kind of does. So, all
That's a
right,
good point. Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 tagline for the film: "What you know about fear doesn't even come close." Brief synopsis for the movie:
Ooh.
after picking up a traumatized young hitchhiker, five friends find themselves stalked and hunted by a chainsaw wielding killer and his family guy cannot speak. Family, there we go, of equally psychopathic killers. Film released October 17th of 2003, directed by Marcus Nispel, distributed by New Line Cinema. Runtime of 98 minutes, $9.5 million budget, $107 million at the box office. So did incredibly well
Yeah.
uh, in the box office. Just a few members of the cast: Jessica Biel, Jonathan Tucker, Erica Learson, Mike Vogel, Eric Balfour, Arlie Emery, and then I'm about to not do well on this last name, Andrew Brynarski, maybe how you say that. Give me your thoughts. We've talked about it a little bit already, but give me your thoughts about the casting characters for this one, Isaiah.
Yeah, well, the characters are not my favorite, and I would just say just because I didn't find them super memorable. Like
Okay.
as you're saying the names, I can only say like that's who played who.
Right.
And obviously Jessica Biel was really great as Erin, and I think she delivers the most memorable performance. Sheriff Hoyt, I can't remember the
Yes.
actor who played him, is amazing.
Yeah.
In fact, I think the family is probably the strongest thing about this in terms of casting, because
Mhm.
the main crew of friends, I didn't find them super memorable in any real way, to be honest. Like I didn't dislike them, I didn't like them, I just thought they were just kind of
Right.
there. Um, and the family, it felt like they were acting harder than maybe the
Yeah.
kids. I don't know,
Yeah.
but it wasn't as bad as when we were talking about Next Generation, where that was just like they're in different movies.
Yeah,
I still think that the people who played the main kids were good. Um, they just weren't super memorable as
sure,
characters.
sure.
So that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and it's funny to me because watching this one and the next one that we'll talk about in this franchise, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning, just to kind of piggyback off what you said, but I almost mixed up some of those characters. Like when I was watching
Yes.
this the other day, I'm like, okay, I thought, what happened to that one guy? And then I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's the next one. So a lot of these characters, they're not incredibly memorable. I don't think performances are bad, but again, it's
Right.
just not. They just don't jump out and stand out, with the exception of three. Jessica Biel, we've talked about her. I think she does really well in this. And of course, you've got Jessica Biel running around in this white tank top. It's not bad to look at either. Arlie Emery, who plays the sheriff. I think
Right.
Arlie Emery as Sheriff Hoyt is fantastic. He does an
Yes.
absolutely amazing job. It almost steals the movie, to be honest with you, in my opinion. He's
Yes.
incredible. Um, and the gentleman that played Leatherface, I don't want to say that's not a hard performance to do, but uh, here, to me, when you compare the two, Leatherfaces is a good way to compare the two movies as well, because in my opinion, this version of Leatherface is scarier than the original
Yeah.
Leatherface. He's bigger, like he just looks so menacing. His mask looks terrifying. Again, we're not getting that kind of silly, abused, scared Leatherface like what we get in the original. We're
Yeah.
getting just a much more terrorizing creature, and I think this Leatherface is scarier than the original, because the original Leatherface is just very unsettling. Yes, that would scare the shit out of me to have to deal with that, but it's so unsettling. Whereas this one's just scary, and so while I think this Leatherface is scarier, I don't think I like it more. Yes, he's
Yeah.
scarier, but you don't get that just same unsettled, uncomfortable, uh, icky feeling from this
Yeah.
Leatherface like you do the original, and really the movie in general. Um, it's got some great scares, got some good scenes, got some good kills, but the feeling's just not there. It's just not that same feeling.
Yeah, that's a really good point too about Leatherface that I was thinking about. I was like, why did this? I mean, I didn't have anything issues with this Leatherface. I thought he looked really
Right.
good, and I thought he had great physical presence and everything. But again, it wasn't super memorable and to me, and
Sure.
I think it's just because there was some nuance lacking, or we didn't get to see him. uh, I don't know. Like the chases were not as threatening to me or something. Like they didn't feel
Okay.
like you were there running around with them like you did
Right.
with Sally, or even with Renee Zellweger, which is the only thing I like about the next gen, which is the
Right.
chase scene.
Yeah.
Um, I he's definitely more brutal because you
Sure.
see more of what he does, and I did like his mask. That was really cool too.
Yeah.
We'll talk about when he takes off the mask later, I
Yeah.
guess.
We will get there. That is coming up for sure.
Oh, there was another thing about the family that I forgot to mention, which is those two women who are like in that one house. Was it a trailer? I can't remember.
Yes.
So the one of they first of all, those are probably the two that feel the most in different worlds, because one of them just is not very believable to me. The smaller one,
Right.
she just seems like she's acting like a redneck, like she's trying
Yeah.
real hard to be one. The other one is definitely from that world because she's from Texas, that
Yeah.
actress. And we've seen her in No Country for Old Men. We've seen her in some other things that she was in, and she's
Right.
always that, and she does it
Yeah.
very well.
Same thing.
So
Yeah.
to me, she seems kind of threatening because she knows the types of people who are from that world who are threatening, so she can embody
Right.
them. So that to me didn't really work out, but the rest of it did pretty well.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Sheriff White almost stole the show.
Yeah. 100%. And I'm with you as well, because even the family, when you watch that first movie, and then in the other ones we won't even talk about, but the first movie, again, the family is very unsettling in that first film. Um, they're just also, I don't want to use the wrong word, they're also weird that they're unsettling, but they just don't come across being that scary to me.
Yeah.
In that first film. Now, obviously, they're crazy, and they do. The hitchhiker himself is just incredibly unhinged. But again, they're just so awkward and unsettling, and make you uncomfortable. Whereas this family, again, is scary. Sheriff Hoyt's scary. Like I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to have to deal with this guy. Um, those two extra characters that you were talking about, I 100% see your point, and I agree with you. But I also felt like they were unnecessary. We could have taken
That's
their
true.
story completely out of this, and it would have been perfectly fine. Like they
That's
just,
true.
I don't know why they were there. It just didn't make any sense to add that little extra step. I think it was done to have the whole baby part in there, which we'll get into as we go through the plot, but it's just not necessary at all, in my opinion,
Yeah.
to throw that in there like that. It just seemed very, very weird and kind of out of place. And I've never really, I don't think, thought about that too much in the past. But when I was watching this a few days ago, immediately that's what I was thinking. I'm like, I forgot about this scene. Okay. Again, I almost mixed up the two movies because I remember the one lady like sitting at a table and the guy like shoving her up against the door or whatever. Well, that's in the
Yeah.
next one. That's not
That's
even in this one. So
that's
I was
right.
like, oh, that's right. I got that mixed up. And then I'm watching it and I'm like, why are they here? Like this just
Right.
did not. This was not needed, in my opinion. So,
Yeah.
um,
See, yes, I was like, I wish that we could have got more of the chase instead of that. Like
yeah,
more
I
you know,
100%
draw
agree.
because that was like the one time when he was chasing someone and you
Right.
could have really made that super scary. But that wasn't scary because you already knew the second she walked in there, oh, they're part of the family. We knew
Yeah.
that the second before she walked in,
Right.
that
Yeah.
that's what was gonna happen because it's a trope, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Very much. I agree. What did you think about the first one? Again, we have an iconic score somewhat. What did you think about the score for this one, like the cinematography, even the story for this? The story is going to be very similar to the first one, so maybe kind of hard to talk about, but uh, score cinematography for this one.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. Like, I think the cinematography was pretty good. A little bit flat, like the colors are quite monotonous in this, but I think that's by design probably,
Yeah.
just to make it feel even more bleak, I guess. So it does have that quality. Like whenever she goes down into the basement, um,
Yes.
area and explores all that, it adds to the griminess of it. And
Sure.
so I think it works out there. And there's some great shots in this, like with Leatherface turning around, of course, and you see the face that he's wearing,
Yes.
which is a great shot. So I think there's some good stuff in it. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know if it's amazing, but I think it's good.
No, that's what I was about to say. I agree with you 100% because I feel like there are some good shots here. I think we get some really good shots. We get some great shots of Leatherface almost kind of like stalking and peeking at them through holes in the walls. There are some good shots. The When he
Yeah,
comes through the door, initially that first time or even
yeah,
the second time, great shots there. I mean, there's a lot good here. I feel like, and yes, the basement and how disgusting it looks. Um, but even at that, it just, I don't know. I guess I'm just that old man now that's sitting on his porch complaining, wanting kids off his yard because I almost, I watch this and I feel like this is the closest we've come to that dirty, grimy type look of the original. I feel like they tried really hard, but you
yeah,
can almost tell, like you were saying a while ago, they're trying really hard. Like they're trying
yes,
so hard to
yeah,
get there. And even the dirtiness and the griminess and that kind of thing, it looks Hollywood. Like it
yeah,
looks polished. You can tell this is a movie.
yeah,
Whereas that original, there were times, even now to this day, I've seen it more times than I can count, and I know exactly what's going to happen. But it almost feels like you're watching something that really took place. It almost has
yes.
a little bit of like a documentary type feel to it. Like you're watching something that happened and feels real. Whereas this one is like, okay, we're going to retell that story that really did happen type thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and even the house doesn't feel lived in really. Like I
right,
was thinking that when they walked in there, I mean, of course, emptiness is creepy, and the original house has some emptiness, but it also is full of cobwebs and full of bodies upstairs
sure,
and downstairs that you
yeah,
don't see at first, and it comes in later. But they still feel like they live there, like they're part of the house, like they're attached to the house physically in a way.
right.
And in this one, like with that wheelchair guy walk, I mean, sorry, I
No, you're
forget
good.
his name. I forgot his name. Um, he's imposing and he's creepy the way he acts and everything.
Yeah,
But for some reason, it just didn't feel like he was part of that house. Like he was just sitting in the hallway when they entered. He didn't go into any room and do some creepy stuff or something. So I
right.
don't know. Just the house is kind of weird to me.
I agree. Yeah. It feels more like a well, just I mean, I keep repeating myself, but the first one, you go in the house and it just feels so grimy, so dirty, so nasty. It's disgusting. You go in this house and it's like, "Oh, okay, I can see somebody lives here." I mean, it's
It
just
seemed like they swept the floor, even like
yeah,
it's not like they're
yeah. This
showing the
this
house for
version
sale
of the
or something.
family, this version of the family cleans up. The other one
Yeah,
didn't. I guess
but
that's
yeah,
really all
maybe
there is to
so.
it. Yeah.
Maybe so.
All right, a couple behind the scenes notes before we start walking into the plot here, real quick. So, John Larroquette, who provided the narration in the original film, was thrilled when asked to return to this one. So, he again returns for this movie and does the narration again. This is the only film in the franchise where we actually get to see Leatherface face without the mask. We'll talk about that. This movie was banned in the Ukraine, but
Wow.
then a couple of things as far as casting that I wanted to mention here. So we'll start with Dolph Lundgren, who I think most people know Dolph Lundgren from being, the Russian in Rocky Four.
Yeah.
Um, he was actually being considered for the role of Leatherface. That's who they were trying to get to play Leatherface in this film. He
Wild.
declined it because he was trying to spend more time with his family at the point instead of doing so much other stuff. So he declined. But we almost got what's his name, Ivan Drago as Leatherface. That would have been interesting to
Yeah,
see that
that
way.
would have been something. Yeah.
Um, Brett Wagner was actually the guy who was originally cast as Leatherface, but early into filming, he suffered a heat stroke and had to be replaced. And then that's where they brought in this Andrew Brynarski guy. Brett Wagner
Yeah.
still makes appearances at Comic Cons as Leatherface. Like when you look him up on these Comic Cons, it says Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003, but he's actually only in a couple of scenes due to
Oh wow.
the heat stroke. Yeah. And then the last one I wanted to mention, because I'm really curious on your take for this one. So Kirsten Dunst, Katie Holmes, and Jessica Alba were all being considered for the role of Erin before that role was awarded to Jessica Biel. Three pretty big actresses. Do you think any of them would have pulled this off as well as Jessica Biel did? Can you see that, or is it just hard for you to imagine?
I could see Jessica Alba, to be honest with you. Like, I absolutely, of all those people you mentioned, I absolutely love Kirsten Dunst. I don't know if I don't know if I'd see her in a Texas Chainsaw movie when she was younger. I don't know. She has
I
like too
agree.
much confidence already
Yeah.
going into it. It's
Yeah.
like I feel like the star of Texas Chainsaw needs to be someone who grows into their confidence or something.
Sure.
And maybe that's just imposing a character on it from a type of final girl, but that's just my gut
Yeah.
instinct.
No, I agree with you. I have a hard time seeing her. I have not seen Katie Holmes in a lot of things. I mean, I know who she is.
Yeah, me either. Yeah.
She almost comes across as I don't know. I have a hard time picturing her play because I feel like one of the things that Jessica Biel really does is sometimes you're afraid for her, and sometimes she kind of comes across as a pretty badass final girl. I mean, there's times when
Yeah.
she's pretty cool. I don't know if Katie Holmes could have pulled off that part, and I'm with you. And I read this the other day, and I figured people were going to give me shit about it. I could see Jessica Alba doing the role. I could see
Yeah.
Jessica Alba in this role. I think it was something that she could have pulled off, but Jessica Biel's so fantastic that at the same time, I'm like, Jessica Alba probably could have done it, but I can't imagine Jessica Biel not doing it now,
Yeah.
just with how well she did. So, just kind of my thoughts there. All right, let's get into the plot. We're going to start walking through this a little bit because, I'm still so curious as to get Isaiah's thoughts on some stuff here. So, we open it up. Like I said, we get that narration from John Larroquette where he's talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the family. We also get kind of a shot of a couple of cops investigating the home. And then we meet our five main people. We meet Aaron, Kemper, Morgan, Andy, and Pepper. They're talking about a concert that they were going to. We also find out the guys were buying weed, and they come across a hitchhiker. So we get the hitchhiker scene. This time it's a female instead of a male. Once they get her in the vehicle, she starts talking about they're all dead. They don't really know who she's talking about. She also makes a comment to them at one point that they're going the wrong way. Throws me off a little bit because they keep going the same way she was walking. It's not like they turn around, like she's walking in that direction. They pick her up and keep going, and
Right.
it's the wrong way. So that part throws me off a little bit. She's also talking about the bad man, and then she ends up pulling out a gun and shooting herself. What are your thoughts, Isaiah, on this opening scene?
I like it. I mean, overall, I think that it goes on a little bit long. Like they're talking about stuff that's not super interesting, in my opinion, for a long time. But
Yeah,
whenever they get to the part with the woman who is obviously a survivor of something, I think that's pretty tense. They do a good job with that. I like the way it's shot when she shoots herself.
I agree.
And I think it's cool when they go in on the hole and it's kind of gross. I like the way they react. Actually, I think that's really realistic.
Yeah,
The way that they just kept getting grossed out by it, and that one woman, I can't remember her name now. One of the friends is freaking out. Um,
Pepper.
and so I think yes. And so I think that that's done very well. Just a little bit long for me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think because I like this opening as well. I actually really like this opening, and I think it's done very well. Again, it's this hitchhiker scene. When I try to compare it to the original, it's different, but I think this works really well.
Yeah,
The original, the hitchhiker, he's just so all over the place and crazy and unsettling. Um, but this girl's pretty unsettling as well, just kind of in a different way, a different vibe. And I appreciated the different take they took on it here. I
yeah,
agree. I think it went on a bit long, and it's not so much that I minded the conversation between. I mean, because this is where we're just going to get a little bit of backstory, a little bit of character development here before we start plugging them right into everything. I
yeah,
don't think it was bad, with the exception of Pepper and Andy. Like why we had to have them making out so much because we find out that they've only known Pepper for a couple of days. I mean, there's some kind of comment there that she's the newest person in their group
yeah,
and her and Andy have only been together for a couple of days, and why that had to be discussed so much and have them keep making out and acting crazy. I was like, I mean, we didn't really need all of this. I guess it's okay, but so I can. To me, that made it drag out a little bit. Just we had to keep doing that. If we could have just talked with everybody for a few minutes and got to know them, I think that would have been sufficient.
yeah,
But I do like this opening scene. I think that shot is great when you get the camera angle from coming from the hole in her head. I think everybody performed really well here. Yeah, I'm on board. I really like the opening to this one. And again, I like that it's not a shot for shot remake. I'm glad that they did
yes,
do some different things and give us something a little bit different there as well.
yes,
Um,
absolutely.
they end up going to a gas station. We meet Luda May. She's kind of running the gas station there. They tell her what's happened, so she calls Sheriff Hoyt. Uh, Funny to me, the sheriff doesn't want to come out. He wants them to bring the dead body to him at Crawford Mill. That's disgusting. I would not. It wouldn't happen. I'm not driving around. I don't think
No.
I took the body with me even to the gas station. That body would have been left on
Oh
the
hell
side of the
no.
road. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
sorry. I'd
not
I'd
doing
be
that.
like, I'm gonna go find someone and we'll show them where it is. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We also meet this young boy, Jedediah. I don't really understand why he's in the film either. Again, I mean, I know there's a purpose, but
No.
it just doesn't work. It's an extra character that we didn't need, in my opinion. But they because they get to the Crawford Mill and that's where they meet him. He tells them the sheriff is home getting drunk. So Erin and her boyfriend Kimber begin a walk through the woods to try to get to that house. We meet Monty. It's the guy in the wheelchair that you were talking about earlier. He lets Erin in, but then he goes in and they kind of leave Kemper outside. We get some awkward moments between Monty and Erin there in the house. And then we kind of start
Yeah.
cutting back and forth. The sheriff arrives at the mill. We get our introduction to his character. Eventually, we see Kemper go into the house to look for Erin, and then Leatherface attacks him. Uh, Takes him off to the basement, and we get back to the crazy ass sheriff who's wrapping the body up and making some really weird comments. Uh, and then has the two guys load her up in the trunk of his car. Um, Give me your thoughts here. So we're going back and forth. We've got the sheriff. We talked to her already about how great he is. We also have Erin and Kemper going to the house. Yeah, your thoughts
Yeah.
on this set of scenes? We get our first look at Leatherface here. What were your thoughts?
Well, it's interesting because I also don't like the kid.
Okay.
And I thought that when they went to the mill, it kind of slowed down the pacing a little bit and not in a good way. Like I was just like, let's go. I want to see the sheriff. I want to see
Yeah.
go back to the house and all that. Like, obviously that was a red flag for some of them. They did bring it up and they discussed it, but they just talked about stuff for so long. And I just wish they could have skipped the kid and gone to the other stuff.
Yeah.
But because the kid has really no purpose. I mean, all the stuff he does, you could eliminate and it would be fine. And he's not threatening. So it's like,
Right.
I want that family to be totally threatening. You don't want to have any sense of there's hope in one of them.
Yeah.
It's like we need Yeah.
completely agree with what you're saying, and that was part of the reason I was not a fan. I didn't think it was
Yeah.
necessary. I think
And his
when
fake ass teeth.
yeah, that part doesn't look good. A lot of the effects look good; those don't.
Yes.
And yeah, it doesn't. It does slow the movie down when we go through all of this a little bit, and it
Yeah.
probably doesn't really last that long, but it does kind of take you out for a minute, and you are just, especially when you've seen this before, you're wanting to
Yes.
get to the sheriff. You're just wanting the sheriff to show up, and you're also wanting to see Leatherface. So all of this part that's going on, again, maybe it's character development, but we didn't need any more of that at this point. So it was
Yeah.
just kind of pointless and slowing things down a little bit. But then I do think it picks up very well with what's going on with Kemper coming into the house and Leatherface attacking.
Yeah.
Um, and then again with the sheriff and just how unhinged he is there, and just
I
the
love his
things.
dialogue. Yeah, he's so
It's yeah,
creepy.
he's
And you
very
realize
creepy.
like they do a good job, and his performance is really good too, because they do a good job of introducing him, and you at first you wonder, like, if you've seen these types of movies before, your red flags have to go off automatically anytime
Sure,
the local sheriff comes in, because
absolutely.
that's also a trope. But they do a good job of being like, maybe he is trustworthy, he's just really weird,
Yeah,
and he's like, I don't like that weed, and so it's like obviously the priorities are not in the right place for some of these small town sheriffs, and that seems realistic.
yeah,
So I thought it was really good, really funny too, while being creepy as hell.
yeah,
But he's getting more and more threatening slowly as time goes on by saying super inappropriate things about the victim.
yeah,
Not just even mildly inappropriate, but
yeah,
like
yeah.
horrifyingly
Terrible.
inappropriate, even
Yes.
for the 70s, which is
Yeah.
when it took place.
Right.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and I like cutting back and forth between the house and that to build tension. I think there could be more tension in the house, to be honest with you. But
I
there you
agree.
go.
No, I agree with you completely. There could have been more there to the house because the difference here is we've got Erin and she's in there dealing with Monty, who's a creep. With when you
Yes.
got Kemper coming in and Leatherface attacking him. Um, in the original, that first attack is pretty quick as well, but I don't think we got a little bit of tension, but it just wasn't quite enough. So maybe that could have been done a little bit better. But yeah, I think what makes the stuff here is what we were talking about with the sheriff. Because yes, when he arrives, they all have hope for just a few minutes. Now that the
Yeah.
sheriff's there, that everything's
Yeah.
going to be okay. Even though he seems kind of gross, they have some hope for a minute. But then when you just get the unhinged things that he's saying and the things that he's doing and how even somewhat aggressive and abusive he is. And that's
Yeah.
the thing about Arlie Emery, who portrayed the sheriff here. His performance is so good that even though this sheriff is absolutely disgusting and you would want nothing to do with him, he does it so well that it's almost charming in a sense. The
Yes.
performance of
Yes.
the sheriff.
Exactly.
So it not a cool guy, not anybody you would want to pull you over or anything else whatsoever. But there's something
Yeah.
charming about him at the same time, and I just think that's a credit to this guy's acting ability, what he was able
Oh
to do
yeah.
there. Um, from there, we get a little few more shots of Leatherface and Kemper and kind of what's going on. Uh, the sheriff's gone now. The group ends up finding some cars, but they also find a bunch of pictures of just older stuff. They do find a picture of the victim, the girl who committed suicide, and so they're looking at that, starting to freak out a little bit. Aaron and Andy head back to the house. Aaron ends up distracting Monty while Andy goes in to try to find Kemper. But then Monty ends up like he's banging on the floor and summoning Leatherface. Leatherface ends up showing now, and so we've got him chasing Aaron and Andy, and then finally he ends up catching up with Andy. He like cuts his leg off. Andy's like running through a bunch of like clothes that are hanging out, sheets or something. He gets his leg cut off with the chainsaw. Aaron gets back to the mill, but the sheriff returns, and so we get more of the unhinged sheriff just being extra abusive now to the group that's out there. We see Andy get hung on the meat hook. Um, yeah, dealing with the sheriff's nonsense. Leatherface, we see that he has made a mask of Kemper's face, so we know that Kemper is now dead. The sheriff ends up taking Morgan and the van keys and leaving. So, your thoughts here, as now we've had our first kill from this group. Kemper's been killed. The sheriff just completely continues to get worse with everything that's happening. Although at the same time, I almost thought he was kind of clever as well. Like that scene, I don't know why. I really like that scene where he's trying to make the one guy reenact, everything that happens. And so the guy's
Yes.
got the gun, and the guy thinks he's turned things around. Like he's pointing the gun at the sheriff now and trying to get control. And then
Yep.
he pulls the trigger and nothing happens. And then the sheriff's like, "You just killed the police department," or something to that effect.
Yep.
You just killed the sheriff, or something like that. So I don't know. I thought that was very clever. I was like, wow, that was pretty good the way he set him up. And again, just so well acted. What are your thoughts as we're going through close to like the middle section of this movie now?
Yeah, well, that scene that you just talked about is probably one of my top favorite scenes in this movie because it has the most tension of any of the stuff. Because you don't, I mean, you have an idea of where it's leading, but you don't know exactly how it's going to end and what's going to be revealed because of it. You know, like the whole this looming sense of like, now it's going to be confirmed that this person's crazy, or not is scary. And of course what he's doing is scary as well, but I like what you said too about how it makes he's also charming because of the way that the actor portrays him, and it shows his cleverness too. So these people may be and this is something I like whenever they do like backwoods hick horror movies, is whenever the hicks are aware of how people perceive them, and so they use that to their advantage to show you, to be like, well, I'm smarter than you think I am, so I'm going to use it to trap you here. So I like that aspect of him. So it's like, even though they're unhinged and crazy, kind of like Matthew McConaughey's character in the fourth one, they're also smart, you know, like they're still making money off the government in the fourth one. You know, so like there's some intelligence to them. It's just an intelligence you can't understand.
Right. No, I completely agree. And I think that's a good comparison, because you do have Matthew McConaughey's character from that fourth film that is just so unhinged, but he also just seems like he's just a lunatic. There's not really any method to his madness. He's just doing his thing. Whereas with this, this is almost one of the places where I feel like this movie does very well, maybe even a little better than the original, in that how smart and crafty the family seems, because we don't really get that from the first one. They're all crazy and unhinged, but they don't seem to be intelligent and planning. It's more of just, okay, well, let's do this. You know, it just happens. But this family seems to know what they're doing. And like you said, they know how they're perceived, so they're going to use that to their advantage. I think the family is very well done in this film, and
that's true.
Of course,
and it kind of makes the people in the trailer more threatening too, because when you go in there, they already know, they're expecting you almost. You know,
yeah, they know what's happening.
They know what they're going to do when you get there. Like the old lady with her teacup or whatever, she's like, she's just very self-assured because she already knows it was going to happen, and she knows how it's going to end too, which is scary to think about. So, but I do like the kill that you mentioned, or the leg slice is really good.
Yes,
where he gets him with the chainsaw. I like when they're running through the laundry. I like when he puts them up on the meat hook, and you actually get to see it in this movie. Which is a nice different, you know, something that we love about the original is you don't see anything. So I like that with this, they decided just to show you, because that's the way to separate yourself. But I just looked down. I just realized that this is sitting here.
Damn, you were extra prepared for this episode.
Well, I didn't even bring it in here. That's what I said. My brother-in-law just bought this, and I forgot he set it in his room. So here you go.
Nice. Bring in the props. Yeah, no, I agree with you as well. You know, and I think there's a couple of other movies. I just watched there's a Friday the 13th movie. I think it's part 2 or 3. It's part 3, where for a moment there's a woman outside and she's hanging laundry, and we see Jason kind of disappear behind the sheets. Also happens in one of the Halloween films. There's a woman out there hanging up laundry, and Michael's hanging up behind the sheet things. I feel like this movie did a good job of paying some nod to the original, like you said, with the hook scene, but they actually showed us instead of us just kind of knowing what was going on but not seeing it full. So yeah, it did a good job of paying a nod to the original, but then doing its own thing as well. The question that I have, and I'm with you, I like where Leatherface cuts Andy's leg off there from the knee down. I think that scene looks great. I do not for the life of me understand why he would have ran through that area to try to get. If somebody with the
They needed the
chainsaw is
shot.
chasing me, well, yeah, I mean that's
That's
it. I get it. It's for the shot. But I'm just telling you, if somebody is chasing me with the chainsaw, I'm not going to go run through a bunch of laundry and risk getting tangled up in a bunch of sheets to try to get away. No, I'm going to get away from that area. I need to be able to see who's chasing me. I need to be able to see how close they are, not risk getting caught up in some weird ass area and then getting killed. So, but yeah, I think everything looks good here. Let me ask you this, since we mentioned it though, real quick, because I've had this conversation with multiple people, and you and I probably even talked about it when we talked about the first film. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes what you don't see is scarier than what you do actually get to see.
Yeah.
With the original not showing us stuff, I feel like the original still showed us things that just cut out the gore. Where with this, we're actually getting to see the gore. Do you like that better in this one, that we got to see the gore, than what we got in the first one? Or
no, I mean it's different, right?
Right.
So I think it's right. It's more impactful in the first one because you fill in the blanks on your own, and the way they build the tension works out very well. And just all the different elements of, like we talked about the first kill where he smacks him with the hammer and he's flopping around like a fish. Yeah. Those little details make it more effective. And in this one, like the meat, it's great to see the meat hook finally. And I do love that you get to see the foot come off and everything. But when you start with the foot come off, you want to meet those expectations that you're going to see him sawing off other body parts, which you don't really see that in the rest of this movie. This movie's not that gory, to be honest with you. You don't really see that much.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the stuff that you don't see kind of irritated me, because it's like, well, you already established that we're going to see it, but then when we don't get to see it, and you didn't build up the tension like the other movie did as well for the off-screen kills. So I didn't necessarily like all the kills in this movie, although I did like the guy face mask. I did like that.
Yeah, I think the face mask looks really good as well. I 100% agree with you. And yeah, I think I agree with you on the rest of it as well. I like that we got to see a little bit more. I wonder if they didn't show us more because they were still trying to intentionally somewhat copy what the first film did, but then just give us a little bit to make it different also. But I'm like you, it almost showed us. I appreciate what they showed us, but it did make you want more. And like you said, this movie, we get a couple more elaborate kills than what we got in the first scene, the first film.
Yes.
But overall, it's still really not that gross. You just get a couple of scenes here and there. So, yeah, I think you're spot on with that. Leatherface ends up showing back up now where their van is. He's attacking Pepper and Aaron. Pepper ends up getting killed. That's when Aaron actually gets a look in and realizes that Leatherface is wearing her boyfriend's face. So this is where she ends up running to try to escape. We get a little bit of a chase scene here. She runs to this trailer where we meet Henrietta, and the one character we've been talking about is just referred to as the tea lady. When you so we meet the tea lady and Henrietta. We also find out that there's this baby there. Aaron sees some pictures and is able to realize that this baby belonged to the hitchhiker who killed herself at the beginning of the film. But they're able to drug Aaron through some tea, and then when she wakes up, she's now back in the house. She's surrounded by the Hewitt family. She's being tormented by the father and also listening to Luda May and that kind of thing. Leatherface ends up taking her down to the basement where we see that Andy is on this hook, and Aaron tries to save him. She's not able to, so she basically ends up giving him like a mercy kill. She kills him just to put out of his misery. She then finds Morgan. He's down there as well in a bathtub, and it looks at one point like maybe he was hanging on a hook as well, because we kind of see a hole in his back while he's there in the bathtub. Here's where the little boy shows back up. Leatherface is after now Andy and Aaron. Jedediah kind of like leads them out of the house before he disappears for a while. We get some more with Leatherface chasing them. Aaron and Morgan end up heading into a shack, try to barricade themselves in, but Leatherface busts in. He finds and is attacking Aaron. Morgan tries to help out, but Leatherface like hangs him on a chandelier and then kills him. And then we get another chase where Leatherface is back to chasing Aaron before she takes off into there's a scene where she kind of crawls through a fence. Leatherface ends up cutting himself with a chainsaw when he's trying to get to the fence as Aaron takes off into a slaughterhouse. So a couple more kills here. Like I said, we get Pepper being killed. On that, we don't really see much either. We know what's happening, but we don't see it. We get these introduction to these extra characters that we've talked about. Now we've had a couple of chase scenes. Morgan, I mean, like I said, we see him get hung on the chandelier and killed, but we don't really see the kill taking place. So a lot more of what we were talking about. And then, like I said, Jedediah, I guess, frustrated with his family, tries to let them go. Um, yeah, what are your thoughts here? I think the action picks up here. There's a lot happening, so we're not doing any downtime, dragging anything like that. We're getting a lot now, and I think it's fun. It just doesn't have that same feeling as the original. What are your thoughts?
Right. I wish that the chase scene had been extended. We didn't go to the trailer. We just had the chase scene, and then he ends up catching him back at the house or something like that. You know, she jumps out the window or something. I don't know. But like that's. I like when they grab her and they take her back, and the people are acting crazy. The sheriff's there acting crazy. That's really fun. And the kid, why did you do that? That cuts the tension back again. But yeah, the antlers, disappointing to me. Didn't really get to see it whenever he puts them on the antler chandelier thing. What was it? Oh, Pepper, come on. No, that kill was that made me so mad. I was like, he's got a chainsaw. It is, he's killing her with a chainsaw. Why can't we see that? It bugged me so much, especially after you showed us that guy get his foot cut off.
Yes.
And you get to see the meat hook. And I was kind of disappointed in the way that the guy hanging on the meat hook died, making Aaron do it. I wasn't sure. Well, that is kind of good, actually, because it shows a little bit about her character. She's always going through this thing of like her empathy gets her into trouble sometimes.
Right.
Like she wants to stop and do this for someone. She wants to take the dead body to the mill instead of leaving it on the side of the road like everyone else wanted to do. So I think there is something there about that, and that I think it is important for her to kill him, actually, because that was a moment where she was able to start really fighting for herself.
Right.
So, but I still I wanted to see the chainsaw do its thing, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, God, Texas Chainsaw, this is supposed to be grimy. I remember the poster for this. It makes it just look so like you're going to see something really gross, and you just don't see it.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. For some reason, I remembered this movie being...
Me too.
Yeah, more bloody and stuff than it was, and it's just not there.
Right. I was like, did I make that up, or was it just at the time that's just my bar was lower, I guess? Terrifier hadn't come out yet.
That's fair. That's also fair. I also think, because again, I do like this movie. I think one of the things that benefits this movie without us even realizing it is the way the rest of this franchise had gone leading up to it. When you get the craziness of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, you get the complete chaos and unhinged The Next Generation. Now that you finally get something like this that is at least back to horror and that's making an effort to do some things, it's such a relief. You're so glad to see, okay, Texas Chainsaw is at least trying to get back to its roots and do something. I feel like when you compare this movie to some of the other ones in the franchise, for a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, this is actually really good.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
For what you watch from a slasher film, it leaves you wanting so much more.
Yes, and like you said, we put Leatherface up there oftentimes with our Mount Rushmore of horror folks. You know, a lot of times he does appear in that thing behind your head.
He's there.
and so you want, like, I think a lot of expectations are put on him for that reason. And then you go revisit it. You're like, wait a second, what's going on here? We didn't see him kill as many people as we thought, but or he's not as brutal as we thought, or something. But I do think that he's much more effective in this movie than he is in the movies that came before it, up until the first one. Yeah,
I completely agree with you. We get now to the slaughterhouse. We get a little bit of a chase inside the slaughterhouse where Aaron's trying to hide, and he keeps finding her. A few close calls and things like that here and there. She finally ends up hiding in a locker. There's pigs in this movie as well, which is fine, I guess. But these little pigs just keep showing up, which is okay. But Leatherface ends up getting distracted by this pig, which allows Aaron then to attack him with like a meat cleaver, where she's able to sever his arm. So she finally, has her badass moment. And this is what I was talking about before, that I don't know that Katie Holmes could have done this part as well as
Yeah.
what Jessica Biel does. But she also then escapes. She flags down this truck driver. He picks her up, and we have the. At least this one makes more sense because she's running the opposite direction when the truck driver picks her up and starts going down the road. So she also gets upset about him heading the wrong way. But this time, at least he was headed the wrong way.
Yes, that's right.
Still don't understand it at the beginning. That's fine. Because she's freaking out and like trying to grab the steering wheel, he ends up stopping at the gas station for some help. He ends up talking there to Luda May and to Sheriff Hoyt. We see the other girl back there with the baby, and Luda May hollers at her for help, so she leaves the baby alone. And Erin is able to then get in. She gets the baby and escape. We get a little bit of some tension there where the sheriff's walking up to the truck, and we see that Erin's trying to like hotwire a vehicle, so it's trying to lead you to believe that the sheriff is going to walk up and catch her inside the truck. But once he looks, she's not there. Instead, she's in the sheriff's car. She's able to get it started. She then ends up running over Sheriff Hoyt, backs up over him several times and runs over him again to make sure he's dead. Right as she starts to pull away, Leatherface emerges with his chainsaw, but she is able to escape. As this movie's winding down, we're getting near the finale. What did you think about the way this one ended up?
Yeah, it's fine. Like, I think that we saw her mercy kill her friend in there, and then we saw her badass cut off, I almost said Jason, cut off Leatherface's arm, which was really great. And then she shows that that her empathy can lead her to do something as difficult as killing one of her friends, to as badass as maiming Leatherface, to as soft and tender and risky as deciding to go back and take a baby with her, so she cares about life. So I actually, normally I would think that's kind of a dumb thing for her to do as she's leaving, but I think it makes sense given what we've learned about her throughout the course of this movie. And it shows that she has some purpose, and she's grown even throughout the course of this experience. So it gives you some depth to her character that you don't see in a lot of the other Texas Chainsaw movies. So I like it, and I like the way that Sheriff Hoyt dies. He deserved overkill a lot of times.
Absolutely.
In these movies, it's unsatisfying when they get theirs. But like when Matthew McConaughey got his, it was a little underwhelming. But Sheriff Hoyt, that was pretty good. It could have been grosser, but it was pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. I don't mind this as well. And I'm kind of torn here because I agree with what you're saying. We do get, this is really all about her character with the decisions she makes, towards the end of the film here. And just showing the type of person she is. So that's all great. Now, again, had we not introduced a couple of these other characters, had we not introduced this whole thing with the baby, we wouldn't have got maybe that last little bit of growth in her character.
Right.
But at the same time, so I see what it was doing. I see why it was there. I still don't feel like it's fully necessary. It does help her character somewhat, but I think we had already begun to root for her enough. If this is a little bit more, that's okay. But had she just, got out of the truck, hot-wired the police car, and run over Hoyt, that would have been fine. We didn't need the rest of that. We still don't need those extra characters and the Henrietta or whatever her name is and the baby and that kind of thing. So it works for what they were doing. I still just don't know that it was completely necessary. Are you glad that Erin escaped? Because here's another place where I get these next two films mixed up, this one in the beginning, because we'll talk about it next time. But, in the beginning, it's Jordana Brewster, and we think she's going to escape and she gets killed. That always throws me off for a minute when I start watching these two. I'm like, okay, does Jessica Biel get killed or is it the next one? Nope, it's the next one. Yeah, because she killed the baby. So again, they kind of run together a little bit there. But are you happy that she got to escape and be the final girl, or do you think it would have been better for Leatherface to have killed her to more establish his legacy?
Yeah, I would have liked to see. So honestly, if I could just go make it myself, then I would have liked to see Leatherface do his thing on all the other characters, in a much more hardcore way, and then she kicks his ass at the end and gets away. Like I like Jessica Biel as a final girl, and I like her becoming a badass, and like you said, she portrays Aaron really well. So you do want her to survive because you like her by the end. So I would like her to survive. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm glad she survived as well. But I also agree with you 100%. I think it would have even made her survival impact that much stronger if we could have seen more of what Leatherface did to the rest of them.
Yeah, like come on, he's chopping up pepper, and we just see a bunch of cotton flying in the air.
Yeah,
and it's like
no blood.
And I
There's not blood
understand.
anywhere.
Yeah, like I understand the whole the effect of him turning around. He's wearing that dude's face and everything.
Sure.
But I still want to see like the aftermath. She discovers we see his face is all gone or something, and I want to see because that would be really grungy. Like I feel like Rob Zombie does the grunginess of House of a Thousand Corpses.
Right.
That is like the grunginess I wish was in this. For example,
makes perfect sense. Yep, I'm with you. The film wraps up as we cut back. It says 2 days later. We cut back to the two police officers that were investigating the Hewitt house at the beginning of the film, and we see apparently Leatherface kind of like comes out of nowhere. We get like a blurry shot of him on a camera, and we find out that these two officers were killed trying to investigate, and that the case remains open, and Leatherface is still out there. Do you like this little bit there at the end, or did you think it was unnecessary?
It's kind of unnecessary. I mean, are we gonna have a sequel? That's my thought.
Right.
But, like, are they gonna move to that crazy land under the ground, and Dennis Hopper's gonna come back? Like, so what's gonna happen next? I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but it's just kind of there. It kind of reminds me of like this to me is the perfect 2000s movie. It feels just like a very 2000s horror movie, and I feel like a lot of them had that tacked on ending that was unnecessary.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think this is necessary either. For what they showed us in the beginning, it's fine because again, I know what they're doing, so it's fine. It wasn't really necessary, and I'm like you. It almost makes you want. It makes you wonder. Okay, are we going to get a sequel? And instead, we ended up getting a prequel next. So we.
Yes.
I mean, that's okay. Make this too, but. Yeah. So and that pretty much wraps up the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and this franchise, and we've still got more to cover. We've still got several more of these movies coming. But this franchise and the Hellraiser franchise bother me sometimes because Leatherface and Pinhead are such iconic characters, like iconic horror villains. But when you look, at least for me, in my opinion, in my taste, when you watch Jason, when you watch Michael, when you watch Freddy, even Ghostface for Scream, when you watch some of these, there are some bad movies here and there, but for the most part, you get to be pretty entertained throughout those franchises. I feel like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Hellraiser both have so much potential with the way they start, and then it's just all over the place with these franchises. Like they just can't get anything built up. And even for this franchise, like the family's never the same. So many movies, and the family's different every single time. And it hurts a little bit. But yeah, that's just my opinion. This franchise and the Hellraiser franchise sometimes frustrate me because I'm like, we've got Leatherface and Pinhead, two of the most iconic characters in horror, and they're just all over the fucking place. It's rough.
And Doug Bradley as Pinhead is amazing. Like, it's just like this brilliant actor and who gives it such presence and everything. And he's in a lot of. They throw him into a lot of stinkers. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. All right, Isaiah. Anything else you wanted to say about this one before we try to give it a ranking?
No, my final thought was really just about how it fits so well into the 2000s era. I will rewatch this again. I don't necessarily seek it out, but it's a good thing to put on whenever you just need. Like it, I can see why it's some people's comfort movie. I can definitely see that. So, I like it, and that's not much more than that.
Got it. No, I agree. I feel like so I loved this movie. The first time I saw it, I was like, finally, something Texas Chainsaw wise that reminds me of the original, and I absolutely loved it. And for a little while, I probably for the first few years, this was a movie that I watched every year. At some point, I would go back and watch this one. Typically, I would watch the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then I would watch this one and kind of skip the stuff in between. It had been now probably a year, maybe two, since I'd seen this one. And so getting ready to watch it the other night, I was super excited because I'm like, oh, I really love this one. I'm excited, especially after everything else we've watched, to get back to this one. And then watching it the other night, I was like, it's good. It's good. But it's not great. And it just doesn't have that same feeling of that original film.
No,
it's fun. It's a fun horror movie. It's fun to watch. It's great, and I can see why a lot of people do really enjoy this one. It's fun, but it just not on the same level as what that original film is.
No, and it doesn't give me like 2009 Friday the 13th for me. I know this is a hot button topic for lots of people, but for me that hits it, and it gives me what I want from the Friday the 13th movie. And this sort of it all just like it gives you some of what you want, and then it lacks some of what you want. But then it's like, then what do you want? What do you expect from Texas Chainsaw Massacre? I mean,
no, I'm with you.
It's hard to know. It's a funny franchise I'm discovering as we're going through it again.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. All right. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rank the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2003?
So I've been all over the place with this one, unsure, but I think I've settled on a solid 6.
Okay. I think that's fair. There was a time, again, when this movie first came out, that if I would have been doing this back then, I think that first one's a 10 out of 10. I love this one so much that back when I first saw it, those first even couple of years, I probably would have said a 9 because I absolutely loved this movie for quite some time. After rewatching it the other day, I'm like, okay, I don't love this. It's not even close to the original, but I do still think this movie's pretty good. And I'm close to where you're at. I think I might like it a little bit more than you do. I would probably give it a 7 because I do still think this is pretty good. It's not great, but it's pretty good. And I've seen a lot worse, especially when you compare it to some other shit in this franchise. So I'm going to land on a 7. It's definitely dropped for me, but I still think this is a pretty good movie. It's nowhere near as good as that original, but I still think this is a fun watch. So I'll say a 7 out of 10. And I'm looking forward to talking about the next one with you as well, because I also, the first time I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning, I still absolutely love this one. And I turned that on and I'm like, wow, this is 2 Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies in a row that are really good.
Oh, yeah.
Now after watching this one and it dropping a little bit, I'm like, what am I going to think about the beginning? Is that going to drop too? So it's going to be fun to come back.
So I've seen this one twice, but I don't remember it, to be honest with you. I remember the opening that you're talking about. I remember some moments from that, but I don't remember anything else. So I'm curious to go back and see it.
Yeah. There's a lot of scenes between these 2 movies that I get mixed up. Even the boyfriend, and won't go back on too much, but Kemper here. There's a scene in the beginning where Jordana Brewster's boyfriend, he's like cuffed to a table. Like Leatherface has got him on a table and has been torturing him. Like we get some pretty decent shots actually of some stuff where Leatherface is messing with him. But the way we were talking about the characters themselves, I found myself watching this the other day and I'm like, I thought he like strapped him to a table. Like, where did that go? And then I'm like, oh wait, no, that's the next one. Never mind. So it's just because these characters are so interchangeable. But I am looking forward to watching it and hearing your thoughts on that as well. That will wrap up our discussion on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2003. Before we get off here, though, Isaiah, go ahead and again take a minute to promote what you're doing. Great stuff out there, always fun and informative. So take a minute to promote everything that you have going on.
Yes, right now I've just released Cave Chat 23, which came out today on the Bitter Wolf YouTube channel, and that is with Angel, who's the founder of Voices from the Mausoleum, and she's my returning guest on Cave Chats. I have Cave Chat 24 coming out with the director Joshua Pangborn. That's coming out next week, and the week after that is Cave Chat 25 with the comedian and filmmaker who goes by Florence Yu, not Florence Pugh. So that's a really entertaining one because she's super funny. So,
very cool. Yes, definitely go check out everything that Isaiah's got going on. Subscribe on YouTube, watch the videos. I'm a little bit behind right now. I've got to get caught up, but like I said, the cave chats are always so much fun, and then the interviews are always great as well. So definitely go subscribe and like, follow him on social media. Show Isaiah all of the support that you possibly can. Definitely one of my favorite people that I have come on with me, and one of my better friends in the horror community as well. So definitely check out Isaiah. You're very welcome, sir. Let's see, what do I have coming up? Here in just a couple of days, my friend Matt from Getting Off will be back on. We are going through the Wrong Turn franchise. We're going to be talking about Wrong Turn 3. That episode is coming in just a couple of days. Next week.
That's so fun. Wrong Turn. That franchise. Talk about wild franchises.
It's another very interesting one. We've been enjoying talking about those. Next week, I have an episode coming out on the Psycho remake from 1998. I've been doing the Psycho films by myself, and I've gotten through the first 4. So I'll be talking about that remake next week. I also have a live stream coming up next week with Robbie and Kaylee from That Horror Couple. They're going to come on with me. We're actually going to be talking about Deep Blue Sea. So we're
brilliant.
On the live stream. Mike from Mike and Serial will be on with me next week. We're talking about The Nun. And then I'm going to try to also get an episode out on Hungry, the new movie about the killer hippo. So, yeah, a lot of fun stuff coming.
I love hippos.
Have you seen that movie yet?
No.
No.
Okay, I have to tell you the story real fast.
Sure.
So when I first started doing Bitter Wolf, it was just the website and just articles written from the wolf's perspective. And one of his rants back in like 2020, was we need to have a hippo horror movie because we don't have any hippo horror movies. And I can't believe it because it's like the most deadly land mammal on the planet.
Absolutely.
So I was like, why don't we have any hippo horror movies? And finally it happened, so I can't wait to see it.
Somebody heard the episode. Somebody heard the wolf talking about it. It was like, we need to get started. We need to do this. So, I'm looking. I haven't watched that yet either. I've got to find exactly where it's streaming or something and see if I can't get to check that one out because I want to try to talk about that next week as well. So, a lot of fun stuff coming. Subscribe so you don't miss anything. Follow me on social media. I'm pretty much on everything out there. Leave me some comments today. Let Isaiah and I know what you think about this Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. Do you like it, dislike it? How do you feel about how it compares to the original? And that will wrap this up. So subscribe, like, share, hype, comment, follow. You do all those things, and I will see you soon.